Hello, dear friends. My name is Pam Costain. I'm a member of the class of 72 at Carleton College, and I am narrating this presentation that was developed by Divest Carleton. Looking at the fragility of our world due to the climate crisis, a group of Carleton alumni came together to encourage our alma mater to move decisively away from fossil fuels and its investments. Like all institutions, Carleton can and must do more. We call ourselves Divest Carleton. This slideshow is a result of our effort to think through the problem and propose a solution. We thank you for listening, and we hope that you will take action. That the climate crisis is real, immediate, and unprecedented is no longer a matter of debate. As the recent Intergovernmental Panel on Climate report has stated, we are rapidly running out of time to prevent the rise of 1.5 degrees centigrade that scientists believe will be catastrophic and irreversible. We now know that CO2 concentration is the highest it has been in 2 million years, that sea levels are rising at the fastest rate in 3,000 years, and that glacial retreat is faster than it has been in 2,000 years. These facts show that we are on the precipice. We believe every person, every public entity, every corporation, and every institution must do all that it can to reverse this trend. That is why we are calling on Carleton College to be more bold, more intentional, and more aggressive in tackling climate change that threatens all of us. We start with institutions that are important to us, that taught us to think critically, and the institution where Paul Wellstone's legacy of organizing for social, economic, and environmental justice is part of the fabric of our college. We applaud Carleton for the significant progress it has made in shaping a sustainable, energy-efficient campus. The college made great strides in the production of alternative energy through the use of geothermal, wind, and solar. It has focused on waste reduction at many levels, and we know there is a commitment to making the campus as green as possible. But greening an individual campus is not enough. Unless we go to the source of greenhouse gases, the extraction and processing of fossil fuels, we cannot truly address the climate crisis. That is why we believe divestment from fossil fuel companies is a critical strategy for ensuring our future. Let's step back for a moment and define what divestment means. Divestment is the removal of investment capital, that is, stocks, bonds, and real assets, from firms whose business is the extraction, processing, transportation, and selling of fossil fuels, which are currently understood to be coal, gas, and oil. Supporting these companies is a planetary, financial, and social risk that affects us all. With an endowment of more than $1 billion, even a small amount of investment in the fossil fuel industry represents a significant amount of money. We call on Carleton to divest all direct holdings in fossil fuel companies and publicly declare it will no longer go back to them. We call on Carleton to find and work with fund managers with no more than 5% of fossil fuel holdings in their portfolio. We call on Carleton to cease any further contracts in fossil fuel real assets once current contracts have expired. And we call on the college to do all of this with public statements and public commitments. Not only is divestment the right and responsible thing to do for the planet, but it is also financially responsible to do this. The return on investment in fossil fuels has been diminishing for years. Investments in green technologies are the wave of the future. Moreover, reducing investments in fossil fuels is supported by the school's constituents, its students, alumni, faculty, and administration. There is both an investment risk and a reputational risk for Carleton to continue not divesting in fossil fuels and sitting on the sidelines. The Board of Trustees is the body that must act to adopt a divestment policy. We have also learned that the most powerful committee influencing that decision is the board's investment committee. There are other key players in this decision-making circle, including the college's investment office, the student faculty committee known as CRIC, Carleton Responsible Investment Committee, and, of course, the chair of the board and the president of the college. Before going further, let's take a brief look at the history of divestment at Carleton. For those who graduated some decades ago, the campaign to divest from companies profiting from apartheid in South Africa was a powerful worldwide campaign. After years of advocacy, Carleton's board did pass a resolution to divest from South Africa, though its implementation was less clear. The early 90s saw the creation of CRIC, mentioned in the previous slide, to give students and faculty voice in investment decisions. In 2015, CRIC, along with a group of engaged alumni, forwarded a fossil fuel divestment policy to the board. At that time, the board rejected it. The disappointment in the board's unwillingness to consider divestment was considerable. But in 2018, the divestment effort was reinvigorated and renewed. Since that time, there have been numerous letters to the administration and the board, articles in the Carletonian, demonstrations on campus, and a petition campaign to urge divestment. Until this year, there was little progress. However, persistence pays off, and there is a new opportunity to address this issue. Our first woman college president, Allison Byerly, has been more open to discussing this issue and has met with students and alumni at various times throughout the year. Some of the younger and/or newer trustees are also more open to divestment, and there is a great momentum on this issue. It is time for Carleton to join several of its peer institutions in deciding to divest from fossil fuel companies. To date, more than 1,500 institutions with more than $40 trillion in assets have decided to divest. This includes Amherst, Dartmouth, Yale, Harvard, St. Olaf, Macalester, the University of Minnesota, Vassar, Wellesley, Brown, and dozens of more higher education institutions. Carleton is, in our opinion, shamefully behind its peers. As a recent alumni letter to the Carletonian put it, now is the time for Carleton to put itself on the right side of history. Please join our effort. If you plan to give a gift to Carleton this year, designate your gift to a fossil-free fund. Donor intent must be respected. If you know any of the trustees personally, please talk with them and let them know your concerns. And if you don't know them personally, a letter to the president of the college, copied to the board chair or members of the investment committee, would be most appreciated. And at a minimum, we hope you will sign our petition found at divestcarleton.com. If you plan to attend a reunion this year, be sure to make this a topic of conversation among your classmates. Finally, we want to leave you with the words of the late Archbishop Desmond Tutu, a veteran of the divestment campaign for South Africa and a proponent of divestment from fossil fuels. He said, "People of conscience need to break their ties with corporations financing the injustice of climate change. It makes no sense to invest in companies that undermine our future. To serve as custodians of creation is not an empty title. It requires that we act with all the urgency this dire situation demands. Please join us in holding Carleton and ourselves responsible for ensuring a future for our children, our grandchildren, and the generations to come. Thank you."